fucking kidding me?
They do.
Oh, Christ.
Where do they keep getting $20?
Michael Gross needs money.
Kevin Bacon needs money.
How? Okay,
Stop
so here's what I want to talk about.
What's that?
You've got a thing that you do with these drinks. It's called froth.
Yeah.
Look at the separation it's got
Froth.
going
Yeah,
on
it's
right
pretty
now.
much 1-to-1.
This
I don't think there's a single molecule from ingredient X that made it into drink Y.
I think that's all booze there.
Yeah.
You should just drink it all at once so you can be drunk enough to drink the rest of it.
That's gross.
Are we on the air?
Of
Yeah.
course we are.
Oh, top notch. In that case, I might as well reveal what the secret ingredient was. Remember the drink I made last time?
Was it piss? Is a secret ingredient
No,
piss?
no.
Oh. It's gonna be piss one of these days.
It's going to be piss one of these days. Listeners who didn't listen to last week's podcast.
Go back and do it!
Yeah, you won't know what this drink is.
Fucking haters.
Yeah, I just poured some beer into it too.
Oh, Christ.
no.
Well, I guess we're only gonna have to try it again.
No.
I really don't think you are.
No, if you added a new ingredient, we all have to drink some.
Actually, I just smelled it. It needs more.
Oh, no,
I
dear.
really
Dude.
don't want to.
All right, gas up the hype train. This one goes out to my Japanese girlfriend, Sakura. This is the Health of Breakfast Show.
Yep.
Oh, God, what have you done?
Gotten tired of making okay drinks.
Why not put some wine in it?
That's a goddamn good idea. May I?
Just a skitch.
Just a sketch.
Because we have who also drank their glass of wine?
Me.
Oh, okay. Well, pour a little another splash because we got to talk about the
will.
wine. Oh dear, stir that shit. Okay, you
Just-
free for it.
just
Please
a little.
don't.
Oh, it's okay. You still
It's
have
not,
to drink
though.
John,
Oh,
how you feeling?
you know,
Like
I'm
this
feeling
may have been
good.
a bad choice.
Like, you know,
it. I just can't get rid of the weird, sickly, sweet coffee smell.
All right.
I just don't have.
Oh,
So this is an almost immediate turning back on of the microphone. No, not almost immediate. We took about a 20-minute break.
Listen to some wrestling
Listen
themes.
to some wrestling themes, but
Eat pizza.
the point being, we're still here, but who the fuck are we? Your ever-present host, I am Brendan. Sitting across from me, I have...
Your never-present co-host, Ryan.
Sitting across from me on the other side, I have...
still Kyle.
Still Kyle. And our guest this week and next week for all weeks is...
guest star Jon Cavanaugh of
Jess...
Brooklyn.
Yeah, there we go. That's a good
He's
man.
getting in the spirit.
Plug
Oh,
your
yeah.
own goddamn shit.
I'll plug my own band.
There
Maybe
we
this time we'll
go.
let you sleep on the couch.
We're going to be here till the wee hours of the morning. Well, hopefully not. Maybe. I don't
Depends on
know.
whether or not you want me to
Some
drive.
people have to work tomorrow. I'm not one of them.
Oh, fuck off.
Eh. All right. So why can't we stop drinking the horrible things you make, Ryan?
Because it's the most popular segment on our show, sir.
It super is.
Yeah. Everyone tunes out.
How do you
So-
prove that?
I don't know.
Through lies and trickery.
Here's-
Same way I prove everything.
Here's the thing. So if you listen to last week's show,
Yeah.
which for us is just super present in our minds because we just recorded it.
I listened to it, too.
I don't know if you're familiar with the story, but the week that you're listening this to holy shit, the week that you're listening to this in, I had to go to a wedding this week, so we did not get a chance to record a podcast this week. So you're actually listening to part 2 of last week's podcast. We still got Jon Cavanaugh in the studio with us. We've still got Ryan's terrible drink in the studio with us from last week, but the kicker is you've added some things to it.
Yes.
What have you added?
Let me see. It's exactly the same ingredients, although I added some, I'm going to butcher this, Leinenkugel.
Leinenkugel.
That's a K?
Leinenkugel.
What goddamn country? Fine. Leinenkugel Oktoberfest.
Yeah!
And some dubious wine. Of dubious vintage.
We are going to talk about
From the back.
We are going to talk about our dubious backyard
He's
wine.
already dead.
right.
Yeah, we're
it's separating
we're on a
already,
ticking
so
time clock.
stir it up and drink it
Oh, God.
so we can get this over with.
It's
Okay.
just too.
Where's my phone? I gotta keep track of
God
the time
damn
here.
it. It's like 8.
Okay, we're good.
Yeah, it's totally appropriate.
We're gonna miss Raw!
From down here,
We're
in
gonna
sunny
miss.
Orlando.
We're gonna miss terrible, terrible Raw.
No, it's okay.
Yeah.
We'll catch it when it airs on the West Coast.
Yeah.
West Side.
Raw, free to represent Long Beach.
So,
I just...
Is it the same?
No!
No, it's different. It's
Oh,
evolving.
there's the grimace.
Oh,
There's
crap.
the thing we all love to see.
Oh no.
It's like... You ever try and buffer 8 YouTube videos at once and your whole goddamn browser... Like, my mouth doesn't know what it just drank.
The YouTube
Ah.
special.
More like a
I'm
YouTube
next.
comment
I'm
section.
next.
Ugh.
oh Jesus Christ.
Watch my mouth.
Is that 2 sips?
Oh. Oh.
Yeah. The human mind is not built to process
No.
that at normal speed.
That is the YouTube comments section. That's what we're gonna call that.
Oh man.
Better or worse than the wine concoction?
better,
What
better or worse than
the
last
wine?
week's drink.
The sweet
Oh,
tart
better
piss.
than the sweet tart piss for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're lucky you missed that.
Better work yourself up to
I feel like I
this.
need an adult.
You do.
Yeah, but I don't know any.
Oh god, there's like so much froth. Oh.
It's okay. It's all safe. I don't have any communicable diseases that reside in my mouth.
I'll take that away from you.
What is that?
Everything. I have no other answer for you, sir.
It's like a gummy bear had sex with a fucking it's like airhead. I don't know.
Gummy
Coffee
bear and an
flavored
air.
airhead. Coffee flavored airhead.
Yeah.
Dirty sex then.
Oh.
Ah.
You know, it
Just-
tastes familiar, and I don't know why.
Did you have back alley sex with a gummy bear and an airhead?
Oh my
Be
god.
honest.
Were you the biscuit in that relationship?
The things we need to talk about tonight, we're going to cut out so much of that. Oh my god.
I'm gonna reference it as the night goes on.
Yeah, we're not going to be able
Oh,
to.
we're
by the time
gonna,
we're done.
you know, eventually we're gonna take all these edits and have a lost episode.
Oh, and it's going to be the worst, and no one
Yeah.
will listen to us ever again. So tonight on the podcast, by the airing of this podcast, the entirety of the mouth will have been posted on the Hell to Breakfast website, helltobreakfast.net. You're already here if you're listening to the podcast. Of course, my patrons got it a week early, 2 weeks early,
Because they're in the
because
future.
they're wonderful. Because they're in the future.
Oh, they
in
got the
motherfucking
mouth
future.
early.
They got
Okay.
the PDF, yeah.
Never mind.
We're going to be talking about Dark Souls 2 and a little bit more Metal Gear Solid. We're going to be talking about Pet Sematary. We've got more with Jon Cavanaugh from Moving Brooklyn. But first, the wrestling rundown for tonight.
All right.
We're talking about...
Raw last week.
it was still terrible. We're talking about...
We haven't seen it
What
yet.
if the episode just ends up being the best ever? Though?
We're going to miss
Could
it.
you imagine?
We will issue a retraction.
First of all, it's not. And second of all, we'll live. We're talking about walk-up music this week, though. We listen to a lot of walk-up music.
It's essential.
It's essential.
It's literally the hook to the character.
It super is. So the question right now is, who is your daddy and what does he do? Who's your favorite and why? We're talking about characters. We're talking about theme music. I feel like they are really interwoven in a very real way because a lot of the guys that I like who have my favorite theme music are also my favorite characters. So it clearly plays a large part in what's going on.
Alright.
Well, I mean, if you pick something that doesn't fit, then it's like, what's the point?
So let's start with our...
It can be a bigger hindrance than it is an asset.
John, you were quiet during our last wrestling segment, but you
little
had
bit.
some interesting things to say about it during the break. So
Yes.
we're going to finish out strong with Kyle on this segment since he is our resident wrestling expert. We're going to start with you, John,
It's kind of
Okay.
sad.
because you had some fun things to say, and
Absolutely.
you're an old school wrestling fan. You're
Yes, I am.
attitude era to the core.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Yes.
So tell us, who's your favorite walk up?
My favorite walk up is the New Age Outlaws.
All right.
That is my favorite. The "Oh, you didn't know" would get me hyped, and then get into the ring, and then Jesse James would have the mic, and he
you
would just
do things.
and he would just get the crowd going, and they had the whole bit, and then it ended with the "Suck It" for DX.
I mean,
And,
the audience participation,
was-
especially for like DX, was
yeah,
huge for them.
huge. Yeah, DX is probably, I guess, the peak of my wrestling fandom. That was my favorite.
Big DX guy.
Yeah,
all right.
big DX guy.
You know, when
Must
you think
hurt you
about
to
it,
know that Triple H is corporate now.
Yeah, you know, he married the boss's daughter, probably the smartest move you could make as an employee.
You know, it's funny. I don't know if you saw on Kayfabe News. They had, if anybody doesn't know, Kayfabe News is hilarious. It's like The Onion, but for wrestling. They had an article a couple of days ago that was Triple H and Stephanie renew their vows with drug-induced kidnapping.
I did not see that.
It was funny. So you like the New Age Outlaws? You like that walk up? What about
Absolutely.
that speaks to you? What about the characters? Kind of
Oh,
gets you into it. Gets you raring.
What about the New Age Outlaws?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess there was...
Because they're the coolest dudes ever
They
when
were
you're in middle
badass.
school.
Yeah, exactly. when you were like 10 years old in 4th
DX
grade,
is the fucking best.
Yeah, you were like, these guys walk around telling everyone to suck it. I don't even know what it is yet. Before my time here.
God, you think about it, and them on like getting away on fucking primetime television on Monday night, getting away with a bunch of dudes coming out to the ring, doing a crotch chop and yelling "suck it."
Yeah,
like that's how did they get away with that shit?
They had that whole episode. They had like the Nation of Domination feud. That was, and then they had
the Rock was in the Nation of Domination at that point, I think,
and Farouk and whatever else was going on there. And then they had the whole time where they took a tank and drove it to WCW.
I've seen
which
that.
I'll put in quotes because I don't know if it actually was WCW.
They might have bought it out by that point.
Yeah.
If there was crossovers.
I remember seeing a thing about it. I believe they did actually drive it up to WCW because I remember like this might have been in kayfabe, but they were talking about like they were nervous to do the bit because they're just like there's a real chance that we could just get like arrested.
All right, so we move from our guest to what is probably our weakest wrestling link, Mr. Ryan Kennedy.
Yeah,
We already know what he's gonna say.
Who is your daddy and what does he do?
It's hard having taste.
What an asshole, right?
I know. I add a little bit of color to the show. Oh, but we're gonna have to bleep that out because all the terrible things you said.
You know, I might leave it in and just bleep it because we said some terrible drunk things.
Hey, we're no JonTron though.
Yeah, that's true.
That is
We're
true.
no JonTron. As bad as we get, we'll never be JonTron. We are at worst a bunch of white guys from New England, which admittedly is pretty bad.
Specifically, the area of New England located in Orlando,
Orlando, Florida.
Absolutely.
HtB Breakfast Studios in Orlando, Florida. That's where we are right the fuck now. Ryan,
Yes.
your favorite wrestling walk-up? And
as
why?
you guys know, I started watching wrestling really recently, and I'm gonna fight with you later about one very specific thing, but I'm gonna have to say the Wyatts.
Okay.
And it's entirely because it's a lot like what you just said, except they've got it reversed. They do the talky part first and then the music. Because the Wyatts don't need to interrupt things with music, they interrupt things with that quick cut. Yeah, the quick cut and the weird Wyatt scream. They don't need that power chord element that so many wrestling walk-ups have.
You're right.
They've got a very slow burn theme. It's nice.
It fits them.
It fits them so well, and I think that's why I like it.
John,
best.
are you familiar with the Wyatt family at all?
Actually, I am.
Cool. Good.
So out of all of the wrestlers, out of all of the wrestlers working today, I would have to say the Wyatt,
which is
specifically the Wyatt family theme, because I will
not
agree with
not the Eric Rowan, Luke Harper.
I'll agree with Kyle that the he's got the whole world in his hands element.
that
weak.
gimmick started cool and creepy, and
they
got
ran it right into the ground.
It got so stupid. And I like that they have it as the startup for the Rowan and Harper tag team.
But they need to cut it out.
They need to cut it back. Yeah.
But talking about audience participation, I know I keep marking out about it. But
The Fireflies.
Whenever the theme starts, everybody takes out their cell phones. They take out lighters.
We did it
30 years
We
ago.
did it.
And they hold up the whole stadium goes dark, and they hold up their lit cell phones. And Wyatt refers to those as his Fireflies. It's the people in the audience just showing that they're following the buzzards.
Cool. Yeah.
I marked the shit out for it, man.
So
Such a mark.
I don't follow like modern day wrestling too well. So are they heroes right now?
No, they're
Still?
heels.
They're always bad.
They
guys.
are
always bad
they
guys.
are backwoods hillbilly
So
cultists.
in the crowd
Loves them.
They back them.
Oh yeah,
That's kind of
that's the problem.
That is kind of the theme of Bray Wyatt's whole character is when he challenged because he's come up against John Cena.
He beat John Cena,
He
right?
did.
Yes.
He beat John Cena
in a cage match.
In a cage match, but then John Cena did eventually go over him at one point.
All right.
He's
They
John
have
Cena-
another cage match tonight.
They do have another cage match tonight, but he also beat
great.
Chris Jericho at SummerSlam. And so his theme largely has been, you're supposed to be the hero, so why does the crowd get so attached to me? Like, I've got a following.
But look, the people love me.
Yeah,
He puts a spell over
It's
him.
kind of like Undertaker and Kane, I guess, back in there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
very much
kinda.
so.
Very
Yeah.
similar to Undertaker.
He's bringing that supernatural element to the PG era, which is something that's been
I've been
so lacking.
begging for.
Yeah.
Oh my
But
god.
unfortunately, they're misusing him right now, and he got squashed by John Cena 2 weeks ago, and it was not a good idea.
He does not look like any sort of a threat right now, and I'm hoping they can build him back up.
But to be fair, they have not been misusing his theme music. There's been no
Yeah.
point where in the middle
That's
of their
true.
slow walk up with the fireflies, suddenly you hear Appledore or whatever the fuck it is. That has never happened.
So I'm going to move to myself right now.
But I don't want to hear what you have
You
to say.
all know exactly what I'm going to say because I
Yes.
talked about it so recently.
Hall of Famer Edge.
My all-time favorite walk-up music is for Hollywood Hogan,
Oh right,
Voodoo Child.
I had forgotten.
And it's too bad they on the network and on the PVVs they either couldn't or they didn't want to pay for the rights
Probably
to the
just didn't
song,
wanna pay
and
for
they
it.
overdub it with the NWO theme, and it's too
NWO.
goddamn bad because Hulk Hogan coming up to the Voodoo Child is the best fucking thing I've ever seen. I love Hollywood Hogan way more than Hulk Hogan. Hollywood Hogan is like one of my favorite characters. Just,
And I find that interesting.
yeah, I fucking love him.
Remember like the Wolfpack? It was like the red NWO.
Yeah. When there were too many people in the NWO.
So they had to split into factions. Like,
You know,
This is before
the Latino World Order.
Yeah.
before NWO got stupid, but back when it was actually really cool. I mean, when
and
they
like
had
Sting and all those guys.
what was really funny was we were talking about this earlier, Kyle. Hulk Hogan is famous for being one of the most popular pro wrestlers of all time. One of the other things he should be famous for, and he is famous for among the people who really follow the stuff, is he is one of the biggest botchers in terms of promos
Oh yeah.
that has ever
Oh,
existed.
God, yeah.
And when they and I found the clip, and he said
Yeah.
when they introduced the New World Order, he says New World Order precisely once, and it's the first time he says it. He says, "You can call this the New World Order of Wrestling, brother," and then he talks about it again 4 or 5 more times, and he calls it the New World Organization. And it is Hulk Hogan.
They've edited this out.
Yeah.
All the in all the
He did that at WrestleMania.
Yeah,
Silverdome, brother. Yeah.
He messed up the venue.
There's a difference between that and this because that was senility.
Yeah.
No,
that's
it
true.
really wasn't. He's always been that way.
Like it's just like, and people have said this, and it's basically Hulk Hogan's gonna make you a lot of money. People love Hulk Hogan. He's gonna be great, but he's gonna fuck up on the microphone.
But the Voodoo Child intro, and I always love the licensed intros like CM Punk with Cult of Personality.
That's a good
And,
one. I really like
that's-
Cult of Personality.
that kind of shit is awesome. I love it when they license a really good song, and to have fucking Hollywood Hogan, and he always did like the air guitar and shit too. It was perfect to have him come out to fucking Jimi Hendrix. Honorary runner up. Perennial favorite, Chris Jericho.
That's where I thought you were going. But
Break the walls down.
Yep.
No, like
Yep.
I fucking love that. He's I consider him still to be a current worker because he does still come back frequently, and he will work Raw and SmackDown and everything. He
When
does
he's not
everything.
hosting sci-fi series.
Yeah. But that I love that Break the Walls Down and just double honorary mention Paige. I don't know if we were going to talk about
because of that
Paige at
super
all.
butt rock.
It's super butt rock. It's super cool, and it's a super perfect walk up. And I feel like it's not going to make anybody's favorites, which is why I want to talk about it. But I used to love AJ Lee. She was my favorite diva for a while. I think I might be coming over to Paige now. I'm not entirely sure. They're both really good. The Divas division really is coming up, especially if they're going to have Stephanie wrestle more. But with Natalya and Paige and with AJ and with Stephanie...
If Tamina ever comes back.
if Tamina ever comes back...
They've got people in NXT.
They've got people in
that are
NXT
looking
coming
good.
up. That division is starting to.
It's
going to
be good if they let it. Is the thing.
Yeah, but we're concerned about that though because now they're trying to force the horrible Bella feud into the good AJ Page feud, and it's like
It's not a good idea. It wasn't a good idea when Wyatt jobbed to Cena, but they're not doing it because they think that's what the divas need.
they're trying to They're not trying to
They're
have
trying
super
to sell
good.
Total Divas.
Yeah.
Is what they're doing.
And
really? I thought it was still
the
Daniel
new
Bryan.
season
What?
started this week.
I think
fuck
since WWE is the only game in town, they really just need to ride a hardcore mediocre to keep going. And so what they're essentially doing is they're taking their best and they're taking their worst and they're mixing them together and they're hoping, well, this will be good enough to keep
It's
people
the water
watching.
in the cups.
It is an incredibly flawed idea when they're trying to win over people's hearts and minds. Many of them are children.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't recall the Diva circuit even being very wrestling orientated back in the Attitude Era. As we refer
except
to
for
it.
China.
I know, but it was so much like bra and
She-Hulk.
panty matches.
You didn't get real like two of the best workers came just after the Attitude Era, and that was Trish and Lita.
Now, truth be told, when we started watching about a year back now, bra and panty matches, or whatever the PC equivalent is now,
There's no PC equivalent. WWE does not do PC.
regardless,
First
that
of all.
kind of ideal was still very much in effect. We are only just starting to see them.
Well, this
looking
was
at
the
it
kind
as
of
a
thing
division.
is we would watch these matches and we say, okay, because there are several divas that will actually put on. We forgot to mention Alicia Fox.
Yes,
Alicia
she's
Fox
good.
also is very good. There are some divas matches where you know who the good workers are, and if they're fighting each other, it's gonna be a good match. And if they're not, you know who's gonna come out and put on a hair pulling slap fest.
Eva Marie.
Yeah. But even
Did the
but
cough section.
somebody who I think probably gets some total divas hate is Summer Rae.
She's good.
She's
she
actually
was,
really
she
good.
was great in NXT.
She's super good in NXT. They misuse her in Raw.
Yep, but it's like they got people coming up that have a lot of
That's the
That
dits,
division
right?
is.
You mean they misuse performers in Raw?
Oh
no way! What a concept!
But that division has some super potential that's being squandered.
Real quick, just for my benefit, Summer Rae is not the ditz.
She used to be Fandango's
Summer Rae
dance
is the one who was
partner.
hanging off of Fandango.
Yeah.
Emma is the ditz that I don't
yeah,
like.
Emma's.
I
really
like Emma. Emma got arrested
for
though,
shoplifting.
So, yeah.
But no, like Emma, like
Really
I
forgot
should
she
show
had it in
you.
her hand.
Emma and Paige had one of the best Divas matches I have ever seen on
Yeah,
NXT.
it was very good.
All right, that's fair enough.
No, Paige is great, and I really look forward to seeing more of her in the future, especially working with AJ Lee. And I also really want to see the thing they've been teasing, which is AJ and Stephanie.
Yeah, and actually,
I'd love
one thing
to
I
see
do
that.
want to mention, we should have brought it up with walk-up music, was that AJ's...
We're still talking about walk-up music, technically.
Okay, I mean, yeah,
You still have to go.
I do, but one thing that they did with AJ's music and Paige's music, and it has to be intentional, is they play off each other.
They're
Like
very
what
good.
They
what
bookend.
Yeah,
well-
they play off each other because AJ's music is
like light 'em
light
up,
up the night,
like
light it up, and
like stars in the sky,
and then Paige's music is tear the stars down from the sky.
and I'm like,
and
see,
they were
see,
set
you
up
got
as
something
they
going
may
there.
have been set up as rivals from the beginning, and it works very well. They play off each other very nicely.
If you're not familiar, it's two hot chicks who want to beat each other.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Be each other.
No, they want to beat not beat each other, be each other.
Although I feel like their feud in recent days has basically gone into who can out crazy the other.
That's one of the problems that a lot of places
Wanting
have brought up.
to be another person is not a sane idea.
But that's one of the problems that a lot of places have brought up, cage side especially, is can we please have a WWE women's storyline that is not about how
A
crazy
man,
they
or
are,
B, how
Yeah.
crazy each one of them is.
Yeah.
Bitches Be Crazy is an archetypal story.
I
that
mean,
can be
honestly,
sold.
it's unfortunate because technically the Bella Twins feud is not about a man or about being crazy, but
But it's the
unfortunately, it is
word-
the worst written thing they've done in probably the past 5 years.
It's the worst acted.
Mm.
I'm pretty sure we could find worse writing.
All right, Kyle,
Absolutely.
put a capstone on this theme music bullshit for all of us. Who's your daddy and what does he do? What's your favorite?
You know, I think my favorite music is not my favorite wrestler.
Oh, interesting.
And it's like, I'm trying to, like, you got me thinking, if I had to pick a favorite wrestler, and it's just like, it,
You know,
honestly,
I said that favorite music equed favorite wrestler, and it held true, I think, for Ryan and John. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
It didn't
Absolutely.
work for me. Hulk Hogan is not my favorite. First of all, my all-time favorite of all time is Macho Man Randy Savage. We didn't get to talk about the classical themes very
Fair.
much.
Very
But
fair, yeah.
secondary and more current is Chris Jericho.
Yeah.
But
The Hitman Hart, want to give him a shout out. Probably one of my favorites of all time. Best there is, best there was,
that's a
best
good,
there
that's a
will
good
be.
choice
I
right
love
there.
Bret Hart.
Yeah, Bret Hart.
Kyle, but please.
But if you want my favorite wrestler, oh god, flashing some indie cred, my favorite wrestler is Sami Zayn
Really?
in NXT.
Of all time or right now?
Right now.
Right now. Who's your all-time?
If I had an, oh Jesus, it might be The Rock.
Yeah?
You're asking me to pick. Here's the thing. I have watched wrestling in two distinct phases.
Mm-hmm.
One of them was when I watched for a couple months when I was in middle school when my brother was watching. And then the second phase is now.
Okay.
And it's just like, I don't know if there's a character that I'm
It's
just like, I
worlds
fucking
apart.
love this guy, you know?
And a lot of characters, I feel, as someone who doesn't really watch it much nowadays, almost are replicates of characters that
very
used to be.
much
Yeah,
so.
absolutely.
We're
Very
waiting
much
for
so.
the next big guy to break through.
WWE keeps buying a lot of bottles, waiting for the light.
So
And,
back-
I mean,
back to
it could have been. It's just like it could still be Daniel Bryan.
Back to the topic at hand. Favorite walk-up music.
Favorite? Wow. Let's see. That's tough though.
Oh no, it's easy. It's Randy Orton's current.
Oh no,
Theme.
God no.
Well, of all time and current, either way.
This is a tough choice for me.
I have my multimedia presentation.
Yeah.
ready to go here. Oh, we were gonna let you read the comic and we didn't.
I'm not sure if I'm saying this.
We'll do it
I'm not
after.
sure if I'm saying this ironically or not.
That's okay. I don't care.
Fucking Sheamus's walk-up music.
Ah.
I fucking love it.
Ah!
Too many lines.
These words are true, and I'll make you believe.
No, but if I had to say a favorite walk-up music, it honestly might be Triple H's walk-up music.
Time to play the game.
Yeah, the one with Motorhead, or rather the first one with Motorhead.
It's really great to know that all of Triple H's themes have been done by Motorhead, and
they're perfect for it.
They really are. Who was it who was supposed to be the game? But then it was Owen Hart. Owen Hart
Really?
was
The
you,
game?
you're the one who told me this. Owen Hart was going to play that character of the game that Triple H ended up
He
playing.
was like the
Are you
Patriot
sure?
before his time
Then
passed.
I don't
Right,
think I
yeah.
told you that.
Somebody told me
He was the Patriot during his passing. That was his last
Well, because-
character.
Well, he was the
Because,
Blue Blazer, wasn't he?
I thought it was like some kind of Patriot 'cause he was supposed to fly down.
Well, because-
So, I don't know.
No, he
Hunter-
was coming down like a superhero to be the Blue Blazer.
I thought it was
Triple H used to be Hunter Hearst Helmsley, who is like
Yeah.
the Connecticut Blue Blood, which is so far and away from the character he plays now.
Triple
But
H.
oh my god, the best thing that ever arose from that was the Mean Street Posse.
Oh.
Who were just a fucking, like, they fancy themselves a gang, but they come out from Greenwich in their fucking sweater vests and khakis. Oh my god, that's the best gimmick.
It's great when you look back so far and all these wrestlers had siblings and their storylines and different
Yeah.
family, and I just
Yep.
all of a sudden they're not family anymore.
Jon Cavanaugh, did you know that Bo Dallas and Bray Wyatt are brothers?
What?
In real life.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
If you ever actually look at them, you'll know exactly what we're talking
I'm
about.
gonna have to.
They also
take
have a
look.
sister, and their sister's face looks exactly
Yep.
like Bo Dallas, and it's really weird.
And I have theorized that is Sister Abigail,
Oh, I know.
which for John's benefit is the name of Wyatt's finisher.
All right.
It's also a character he refers to frequently. Okay, so let's talk about comics on the internet. Let's talk
Okay.
about me.
Okay.
And this is going to be interesting. John, we
Yes.
didn't talk about this in the last episode. You're also an artist.
I am.
You are, and
I do.
you're pretty freaking good at what you do. I've seen some of your shit.
Yeah.
You draw you draw good for the peoples.
Yes, I'm an illustrator of sorts.
Yeah, no, you're not bad at all.
Yeah.
So, I have a process post here for the last page of the mouth,
Yes.
and those of you listening, by the time this podcast airs, the mouth will have finished up on the website yesterday. So what we're going to be talking about is the last page right here. Ryan has been talking to me recently. He's been wanting to talk about method and process. And so I took a whole bunch of screenshots working on this, and I used my Microsoft Surface Pro tablet. And
Sponsored by Microsoft.
no,
Sponsored by
not
Microsoft?
not sponsored by Microsoft, because some of the pictures here are a little bit dodgy because my Microsoft Surface Pro overheated several times during the making of this page and caused me to lose several hours of work that I had to repeat.
You hear that, Apple? Good job.
Yeah, and, well, no, fuck Apple still.
Tell us why you mad.
Oh man, there
But,
are people in Nairobi who can't eat. No, go on about you. Sir.
I make cartoons for the internet. God damn it!
Yeah. Okay.
All right, so we got a little multimedia presentation here, and there will be a link in this podcast where you can find a PDF for this this process that we're talking about. So go ahead and open that up right now and follow along with the rest of the class.
With the bouncing ball.
Here we are on page 1. You want to talk about pacing for this, and we'll do that in a minute. But we're going to talk about the process first. So here's the first draft of this page, and this is just a very simple. I do everything digital now, so it's a sketch page. It's not a pencil sketch, but I do everything in blue for my initial sketch, and I do a couple different shades if I have to draw over things. So I have the Roosevelt figure drawn in a lighter blue, and I have the basic shape for the car drawn in in that same lighter blue, and the tree line. And then I have some more details on the car drawn in a slightly darker blue. John,
Yes.
I know we said we would let you read this beforehand. Are you at least slightly familiar with what's going on in this comic?
With your comics?
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah, I read your comics.
Oh,
So, yeah.
great. Wow,
Yeah.
you're the...
Yes, I do.
I'm so happy. You're the first person I've had on this show who I've asked, are you reading my comic? And the answer has been an unequivocal yes.
Yeah.
So, props to you.
I do read that.
Kyle!
Hey, I'm a Patreon donor.
You
Fuck
are.
off.
At least I love you enough to lie.
So that's what we have on this first page here. Ryan's you know what? Ryan is my editor. He reads everything beforehand. So that's what we have on this first page. On the second page, I added some inks in black, and you'll see that the figure of Roosevelt is a little bit off from the sketch. And I did draw it along with the sketch at first, but then I fixed some of the proportions along the way, and she ended up being, about 5 or 6 inches shorter than she's drawn in the sketch, and that's simply because the way the anatomy works out, I had it drawn wrong in the sketch. So that's the very basic addition of the inks right there. The next thing we have, if you'll move on to page 3. I took a watercolor tool in Manga Studio 5. That's what I draw all my comics in. And I made the sketch layer transparent, and then I added a layer of orange in a watercolor with the watercolor tool.
Okay.
So the next thing I did was I drew along the tree line, and I added a sky over the orange watercolors that I put before, and I'm using the watercolor tool here again. I did a darker blue for the first pass, and I did draw some rather severe lines over the tree line, and then I added a little more ephemeral touch with a lighter blue.
I see you doing that a lot. There's sharp lines of demarcation with a lot of softer tones, a lot of more impressionistic not even color palettes, just more impressionistic feels.
Well, it's funny. One of the things that I picked up early on from Matt Chips, and it's a little strange that he does not do nearly as much watercolor as he used to.
He's in college now.
Well, he does primarily full digital, and his stuff looks very good. But it's back when I was first learning to draw, he was doing almost entirely watercolor. He's very good at it. And so when I first started, watercolor was something that I latched onto, and even though it is a digital approximation of the medium, and when you do watercolor on layers, it kind of defeats the purpose of it entirely.
Absolutely, like in obviously in the real medium, it's like you have to work from yellows and up.
Exactly.
So yeah.
Yeah. So I like the brush texture more than anything else.
Mm-hmm.
And I work digital purely because I have not got the time, the money, or the patience to work physical. And I know a lot of guys that do work physical, and they do put the time in, and they make excellent work. I'm looking at you, Zach Semantic.
I'm not. You bastard.
But I work on a twice a week update schedule, and I have to have things come out consistently. I just love the way that watercolor brushstrokes work, so I will try to work a few layers with a single color where I'll use the watercolor on and get the blend. But for the most part, I just like the tone of the brushstrokes. So here for our next page, I added trees, tree trunks, tree leaves, and some very basic fall color outlines. Again, still using the watercolor tool.
This is all a brush. In the program, this is all like a brush.
This is all a single brush. This is Manga Studio 5. This is the watercolor tool, and it is the dense watercolor brush that I'm using. And so I used all that to add the shades of green, and you'll notice that I rose up over the initial tree line because I decided the tree line needed to be higher. And I added the greens with the watercolor brush. The trunks obviously came in first, and I layered the greens over that, and then the oranges over the greens. And so then on our next page, we have some more fall colors overlaid. Again, we're still using the dense watercolor brush to add some reds into the spectrum here. And then on our next here, now we really start to add in some foliage. And I used several different New England autumn colors, from deep reds to pale oranges and deep oranges, and pale yellows and deep yellows, and just layering this all kind of in a very haphazard fashion to really kind of create that feel of foliage.
But you do not break that line. And I know I've kind of latched onto that, but right now it's kind of what's drawing my eyes, is that very strong, it's not straight, but the line of division.
Mm-hmm. And I, on the next page, you'll see I used, I added some more foliage in. I have now, the background, there is a solid background on this entire page, remember, of a very deep orange. Mm. And so now all the other colors that are not that deep orange are on different layers over this. So I have now added on solid inks for Roosevelt and the car she's standing on. I've inked in some lines along the tops of the tree lines and along the bottoms of the tree lines in red and in brown, respectively. And I have compressed all of the top layers into a single layer, and I have faded that layer, I think, to about 75% to let that orange show in through the background and kind of give the whole thing a very homogeneous feel. And then, of course, we have some slight shadow accents added along the bottoms and the tops of the page. I eventually decided to remove the shadow accents on the top of the page. We have some light accents along the figure of Roosevelt in the car. And then we have the final page, of course, where I faded the colors even more into the orange. I've eliminated the top accents with some at the bottom. And fuck you and your motorcycle, motherfucker, for talking over me.
Like
so this is our final product, and we have again the fall colors in as strongly as we can present them, and the deep orange being the theme, and the focal points embellished. And that's our final project, final product for the last page of this comic.
Very great.
I was not aware of how orange a page that is.
It's very orange. All of the epilogue is very orange.
Because the only things that aren't orange in that are either one step removed or direct opposites. That being blue. So you're not opposites, complements. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So you wanted to talk about, and we're going to talk about this briefly, but pacing of this comic. And tell us what your thoughts are on that.
I'll just let you talk about it a little bit. The very basic thought I had is you did not, by this time the readers know this, you did not present The Mouth as a 3-act story. No. You presented it as a 2-act story, or almost like a 2-act play, given where the players are positioned, and then an epilogue.
Yes.
And I'd have to go back and get the exact count, but I feel like almost they were weighted very similarly. I think they had very similar numbers of pages. I'm just kind of curious why you decided to spend much of your third act on the denouement instead of moving the climax forward. Like, the climax is very sharp in The Mouth. It is at the end of the second act, and then what follows is a time skip over a single page.
And it's because the original intention for the story was to have the climax be pretty much the end of the comic, and then have the epilogue be 1 or 2 pages.
I remember that.
And it was going to end on a very dark note. And what I decided essentially was that I wanted to keep these characters going, and we needed to have an essence of hope going forward. So I decided to draw it out a bit and give Pierce and Roosevelt a reason to keep going forward and to continue their adventures, so we could then continue to write them in further books.
You do understand the degree to which that changes the way the story.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
It does not have the same impact that it used to.
No, it has a different impact.
Yeah.
It has. I have had some drinks, so you're gonna have to help me.
We all have.
You're gonna have to help me with the blonde character's name, because I always remember the 3 versions of
her
it.
name. Well, she's got several names. She's referred to frequently in this comic as Wynn. That is her nickname. Her full name is Brynwyn.
Right, not Branwyn.
Yes,
Brynwyn. You realize that she's more of a narrative tool now.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, she did. I'm not going to say she didn't come into her own, because she definitely speaks more strongly than any other character in The Mouth, but she speaks so strongly that she becomes a device.
She's a strong enough character that she will be present throughout the rest of the narrative as they continue. Not physically, obviously, but she will hang over the
her last act will continue to have ripples. Gotcha.
All right, so if you haven't read The Mouth yet, go back and do so. That said, moving on. Jon Cavanaugh,
Hello.
you're still with us in the studio.
Yes, I am.
Let's talk a little more about Moving Brooklyn. Let's talk a
Brooklyn.
little bit about other things as well. Let's talk about Moving Brooklyn, because we talked a lot about it in the last episode.
Yes.
And let's talk just a little bit more about some philosophy of sale things, actually, is what I really want to talk about. 'Cause this is a theme that we've come up with before with with our only other guest, but some guys that will be guests with us in the future.
Yes.
Pay what you want versus fixed pricing. The Moving Brooklyn EP Intervals, which is available on their Bandcamp, movingbrooklyn.bandcamp.com for $4. It's a fixed price.
Correct.
There are a lot of guys who like to approach Bandcamp, guys and girls, obviously, who like to approach Bandcamp with a pay what you want model. Yes. And I'm also working on an EP right now, and my plan is to approach it with a pay what you want model, because I feel like it's more important for me to get the word out as opposed to make money.
Yes.
You guys have chosen to work from a fixed price point. Why is that?
We have, and at the same breath, the single, if you will, off the EP, We Would Make Sense, that song is available for free download on the Bandcamp.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the whole marketing strategy behind asking for money behind it is just, in essence, that, I mean, we're very aware of how it is and how, obviously...
I mean, I want to preface this. Asking for money is not a bad thing.
Yeah.
This is 6 songs for $4. That's a fucking bargain.
Yeah.
Like, this is not like... You're not trying to gouge your listeners by any means. And I don't want you to feel I'm accusing you of being a bad person.
No, absolutely. No. It's just, I feel that in any form of art, and I am a frequent purchaser of art and a frequent user of Etsy. Mm-hmm. I don't know if anyone uses that, but I buy a lot of prints off Etsy.
He's an Etsy king.
I am.
Wait, hold on. They make things other than like glazed porcelain bees.
They make a lot of I follow a lot of various artists and illustrators.
It's basically just for so people can sell their homemade stuff, isn't it?
And a lot of guys, a lot of artists I follow, whether it be on Instagram or any other medium, DeviantArt. I follow these guys, and they sell their prints of their various representations of characters, whether it be like the Ninja Turtles or the X-Men or the Justice League, and
all those copyright infringing characters.
Absolutely, but I mean, I like it. I buy it. I frame it. I hang it somewhere in my apartment. I call it a day. So I mean, it's a long day. It's an art form in any way you look at it, and I mean, I know that I wasn't there during the production of Intervals, but I mean, it wasn't. They put a lot more money than $4 into making it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So, it's
it
like...
shows.
The effort is clearly present.
Yeah, absolutely, so it's like... I mean, it's like the least they can ask for. I mean, maybe at some point down the road, I'm sure that they might advert... It's even been discussed with the B-sides, that those will probably be a name your price option in terms of sale, just given what their product is giving you.
I guess what the real question is, you feel that having a fixed price will get you more profit than a pay-what-you-want model?
The model they've got going is slightly more nuanced than what you're bringing across.
You're right.
Yeah.
Free single is free single.
Yeah, and if it's almost like if you like us enough, I think you'd be more than willing to spend the $4. And if not, I've seen the EP on various websites, some being Russian. That you can pirate it off of. So
Hey, I mean, if you're well known enough so that people are pirating your shit, right?
Yeah,
in Russia.
Then you know what? Then by any means you get it how you want to get it. So
the other thing to remember is what they're paying for. I mean, I listened to your whole EP and beg pardon, I didn't actually spend a cent.
That's okay.
If I give them $4, it is for convenience. It's so that I can take it with me in the car, in the bathtub. I could make.
Now you got the Wi-Fi's though.
So
I do have Wi-Fi.
Here's a question that we'll be talking about a lot with artists, and that is: have you guys ever played a show where you were offered exposure as payment, and do you feel that's a good idea for up and coming artists?
Bringing this back.
Follow-up question: have you ever been offered sexual favors?
Have I ever been offered a sexual favor?
No, don't answer that one. That's the bullshit one. Okay. Answer my one.
Okay. The exposure. It's almost like you're asking what's some media exposure versus live exposure. Mm-hmm. If any offer was on the table where there was a well-known act who was they're going to bring a draw, and we were given the opportunity to play in a fortunate slot before them. by all means, absolutely. I mean, I would never. Again, I'm 1/5 of this band, but if we were ever to discuss it, I'd be the vote for yes. Absolutely, let's get on that stage and let's play to these people, and hopefully we make a fan.
So that's a very specific scenario. I guess the things that I'm more and the things that we like to really.
I think it probably applies more for like art than it does.
Yeah,
for
yours is
but
concrete,
the thing is
performance.
for music, especially the things we like to call attention to here is getting taken advantage of as an act. And so what you're talking about is we've been offered the exposure of playing for a national touring act with a large following that's going to come out to see them, as opposed to being like, hey, come play my bar. We can't pay you, but it'll be good exposure.
Plus free drinks.
That's definitely, yes, all right. That's much more familiar
venue.
So, in that terminology, I love to play out and I love to play shows, and I'm sure everyone here who does music has played to an empty room.
Oh yeah.
And it happens a lot more frequently than we care to admit, and we're in the age of technology and the age of media where I guess even if you do get a good crowd at a show, it's probably more than you're looking at a crowd of 90% people on their phone.
Yep.
I mean,
I only need my ears to listen to you.
That's fair.
Stop moving your mouth so much.
But
distracting.
but by any means, I don't think at least in my mindset, I would say no to any performance in any venue, in any show, in any crowd, in any bands. I want to be there. I want to play. I want to be with my band, and I want to make some friends.
Yeah.
So
this speaks to all of our listeners, for musicians, artists, whatever you do. Know your worth. Don't get taken advantage of. That's pretty much what it comes down to.
Public service announcement.
Public service announcement for Hell to Breakfast. So
don't get fucked.
Our last moving Brooklyn question for you.
Yes.
You guys are definitely a very nostalgic act. We've established that in the last episode.
Yes.
With such a nostalgic sound, what sets you apart, and do you find it difficult to explore new avenues of music being grounded in this kind of nostalgia?
When you say explore new avenues, do you mean in terms of me listening or in terms of me playing?
In terms of you playing.
Playing with them? It's definitely difficult. There was a large period of time where there was a much more heavier music that definitely shrouded the scene, not necessarily in a negative way. I wasn't a heavy band. It's definitely weird because I feel even the alternative acts, or pop punk, if you will, acts nowadays are nothing like we are. But back in the early 2000s, we probably would have been falling into that pop punk category.
Yeah.
And it's odd to see how things have evolved. And I feel that we are a little bit more of a rarity and a unique sound in terms of today, giving us that nostalgic feel because we don't resemble a lot of the acts that we play with or we hear even now. But that's not to say that I don't love and listen to every and all music. So
that nostalgia is now actually giving you a unique quality as opposed to sending you back.
I would suggest yes. I think people enjoy it, especially people of our demographic who were so invested in these bands back in the early 2000s. So, it's just about looking forward and not trying to define ourselves to anything. For all we know, our next release could be much more indie or much more folk or who knows.
So you don't let it restrict you.
Absolutely not.
You're gonna play what you want to.
Yeah,
that's important.
Whatever the five of us can do in a room and we make as a band is what I want us to do. And as long as at the end of the day we can all say that we're happy, then we're having a good time. So
very good. I'm ignorant, but that's good to hear because part of me worries you'd be thinking I want to do this, but I can't because I can't risk losing that nostalgia dollar. If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, understood. Yeah. But the thing is,
can't evolve.
I'm not saying we should turn into I don't want to name drop bands like 5 Seconds of Summer or One Direction. Thankful they're very grateful for all their success, but I don't want to be a band that's just playing.
You don't need to pander to anybody.
Yeah. I'm sure you guys understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So that's good. We wish the best for you guys.
Well, thank you, appreciate it.
And Moving Brooklyn, you want to check them out? MovingBrooklyn.bandcamp.com. The EP is Intervals. It's $4. It's not that much to spend. You guys are going to be playing a show at the Hall in New Britain on September 26th. It's going to be the last show of Burn Lexington, who Jon also played for briefly, but we won't talk about that right now.
Now about those sexual favors.
Yes, so be sure to check that out if you're in
after the show.
If you're in the Connecticut area, if you're in the Hartford, New Britain area, definitely go check that out. Let's talk about some more Stephen King.
Oh, okay.
Let's talk about Pet Sematary.
Okay.
Let's keep it as brief as we can.
I will try.
Let's keep it to the gems.
Okay.
Well, shit. Pet Sematary.
There
Ryan, you just read. It's my personal favorite Stephen King novel.
Yeah. Okay.
Ryan, you just read it. What's your reaction?
I started reading it about a week and a half back, and yesterday I sat down. I think I was about 60% of the way through it. And I sat down. I knew we had the cast today, so I sat down. I finished it. I started reading it about 8 o'clock. Got finished around 12:30. I have never had an experience as uniquely horrifying as reading that book.
It's fucked up.
I am somewhat ashamed to admit this, but I did not actually sleep very well last night. I remember being awake at around 4:30, and every time I tried to close my eyes, they would fly open because I would hear something as innocent. I'd hear the crickets chirping outside, and I should not have been that scared by a goddamn book.
That one stays with you. It really does.
And it stays with you because this. To give a little bit of background, you can correct me if I say anything wrong.
Mm-hmm.
My understanding is that Pet Sematary was originally what Stephen King called a desk book.
Yes.
It was something he wrote over the course of about 4 years, and when he was done with it, he said, this should not be published.
He felt it should not be published, but then he needed to turn something into his publisher, and he gave them Pet Sematary, and they loved it. And he said, are you sure?
Pet Sematary is the point at which Stephen King stops fucking around. It is the point at which he says, I've been kidding with you all this time. I actually do know what human beings are well and truly afraid of, and I have more than enough craft to exploit
and also willing to do with humanity.
Yeah, I mean, and spoilers, but one of Stephen King's primary rules for the majority of his writing is I bring it up in my book that you've read and nobody else has, but he spares the children and the dogs.
Same rules.
He doesn't
follows.
He tends to avoid hurting children and animals whenever he can. And Pet Sematary, he breaks both those rules so hard it hurts you right in your very bad place.
That's the reason why I stayed so scared. Because I'll be honest, I was in the twilight realm between wake and sleep at 4:30 in the goddamn morning. So I was somewhat afraid that the Wendigo was going to come get me. That's what it's like at 4:30 in the morning. But even when you put aside all of the fantastical elements of Pet Sematary, what you are left with is still plenty terrifying. It's, well, I know intellectually that Wendigos aren't real, and that Indian burial grounds cannot bring the dead back to life. I also know that everything I love can be taken away from me at a moment's notice. There is no kindness in the world. There is only cruelty. I do know that everything I try to do good could quite easily become evil. I will never read that book again.
Interesting. Very briefly, fear versus horror.
Yes.
What is the difference, and what is this book?
Horror is an intellectual reaction. Fear is a physical reaction. Horror is something that happens after the fact. Fear is something that happens during the fact. Fear comes from tension. Horror comes from intellectual. That's what I'd say.
Okay.
Oh, what is this book? Horrifying. Absolutely horrifying.
I agree.
No question.
This book, if you've read it, you know this is my favorite Stephen King novel. This is the scariest Stephen King novel. This book stays with you.
It's the snuff film of books.
Who's read it? You haven't read it?
I haven't read it.
Have you read it?
I have.
You have read it.
I've read it.
Do you agree?
Absolutely. I've definitely since then have read a lot other horror and also seen a lot of horror that definitely kind of overshadows it in terms of shock value nowadays. But
well, this is the thing we talked about. This is the thing we've talked about before on the program is what is the difference really between a truly crafted horror and the shock value, blood and guts kind of stuff?
I concur.
That's what I mean.
That's valid.
You can be startled by gore. You can only be horrified intellectually. Horror stays with you. Fear does not.
This Pet Sematary is pretty much. I still hold it to be just about the most fucked up thing I've ever read.
And I after having read it, I do think my comment remains true. I think Pet Sematary cheapens the rest of King's bibliography.
Yeah, simply because it is. It's that much
King,
more.
King shows you
horrifying.
Pet Sematary and says, "Aren't you scared of this?" And he says, "Yes." And then you say yes. Then he says, "Yeah, but you're scared of vampires too, right?"
Yeah.
What the fuck are you talking about? And big dogs, like really big dogs?
So you haven't read
No.
Cujo yet, have you?
No, he's like,
You
okay.
need to read Cujo.
I've read Cujo. The movie does not do it justice.
I haven't seen either.
The book
Like,
is fucked.
No vampires. No. What about clowns? Clowns are really scary, right?
Pennywise is hands down one of the worst.
Yeah,
villains.
especially with Tim Curry playing him.
Tim Curry knocks it out
I
of the park.
find Tim Curry's career very horrifying.
Very horrifying and kind of short in its own sense.
Oh no, it's much longer than you think.
Let's talk a little bit about video games.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Dark Souls 2.
Oh.
Yeah. Sorry.
that good old RPG.
Ryan and I obviously still playing Dark Souls 2. John, do you have any experience with Dark Souls?
I have not, but I did look it up prior to this podcast. I did do my homework.
Very good.
All right, so Ryan,
garbage.
let's keep this brief.
Okay.
Then. We're both playing Dark Souls 2 now.
Yes, I'm much better.
Ryan
at
managed
than
to
you are.
outpace my Dark Souls
In a day.
character in a day, which I knew was going to. I knew that was going to happen.
Yeah.
I just did.
How long have you been playing?
It's been a while.
A week and a half?
I only play a couple days a week, though,
Okay.
for a couple hours at a time.
Okay. A day.
I don't play like you, where you play 9 hours a day.
I go longer, harder, and stronger than you do.
Better,
Oh.
stronger, faster.
And I last longer.
There it is, stamina.
For the ladies, that's what the ladies like.
And I finish.
The ladies love your Dark Souls.
I don't know where we're going.
Bitches don't know about your Dark Souls.
Bitches don't know about me getting my Estus all up everywhere.
So, different playstyles abound in this game. And I started as the knight, which was the sword and board, and you're supposed to block and then attack.
But no, though.
But it turns out I didn't want to block. I wanted the dodge roll, which is why I switched to the swordsman class, which is what I play to this day. And I much prefer the dodge roll, and I need to learn how to parry at this point.
Yes, he's still a baby in the woods, but he is trying to run a dex build.
I am. It's not going great, but it's going. Ryan, on the other hand, is dominating the game.
It's an easier game than its
Ryan
predecessor.
Ryan
yes.
played Dark Souls 1 pretty much all the way through, so he knows the lay of the land.
Dark Souls 2 is easier just by virtue of it being better populated online.
The ability to summon guys in to help, and the ability to be summoned into other worlds
For help.
to learn the level.
And to get the experience.
Yeah.
I actually recently took a count. I just finished fighting my 13th boss. I fought bosses alone 4 times. I summoned many guys in 9 times.
I always summon guys in for the boss fights.
Whenever you can.
I'm the lamest of the lamers.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's building community spirit. Community
Spirit.
Yes. Well, you haven't gotten to the spirit
Excellente.
yet. You'll enjoy the spirit.
Metal Gear Solid.
I liked it.
We have played the
that is
same
all
amount we
we're
played
doing.
at last week's episode, because guess what? We recorded it on the same night. But this episode, I specifically want to talk about the Psycho Mantis fight.
Yeah.
Fuck Psycho Mantis. And
I fucking love Psycho Mantis, though.
I said in the last episode that I haven't been playing much of the Metal Gear Solid because I'm super bad at that kind of game. But the Psycho Mantis fight I felt was especially counterintuitive, and Kyle has played it before. He knows all the tips and tricks. I said that on a virgin playthrough, if I had to fight Psycho Mantis, it would have been a wall for me. Because there are so many things you have to do, like switch the controller port.
I'm pretty sure
That's it. I guess that's it.
That's pretty creative, though.
No, it's clever. And the
Way
thing
clever
is,
first
like,
time.
here's the thing. I'm relatively certain, I'm not positive, if you die against him, like, 3 times in a row, they straight up call you and tell you.
Well,
Like, fact check, but... but if you do call the Colonel, he'll straight up, he will straight up say, plug your controller into the second board.
you like to play Castlevania.
I hate the way this game tells its story. I talked about Guardians of the Galaxy breaking rules of storytelling. This thing breaks way more.
They break the fourth wall.
It breaks the wall of immersion very, very frequently. But even worse than that, and this is something Kojima...
Put your controller on the floor and I will vibrate it for you.
No, they were a bit more subtle than that, but only a bit. But this is something Kojima has absolutely never gotten over, and they parody it in Revengeance, which I love. It's, I want your character backstory, so I really know about the boss I just fought. Talk to me as you bleed out. Quickly. No longer. How much blood do you have?
Welcome to Assassin's Creed.
Oh,
here's the fucking thing,
At least that takes place in like an Animus realm.
Yeah.
The game in which that is the worst, and it is in Metal Gear Solid 4, when you fight the I think it's the 4 major bosses in the game, they don't tell you their story as they're bleeding out. They die, and then this motherfucker Drebin just calls you and gives you their backstory.
Oh dear.
Well, that is the one thing worse than why are you still talking?
So the bosses in Metal Gear Solid Metal Gear Solid 4, by far the worst part of the game.
Here's the question. Would you rather take it Kojima style, where everything is shoved down your throat without asking, or would you rather take your story Dark Souls style, where you have to hunt it down to figure out what's going on? Around the circle. Ryan.
I'm going to draw the distinction between Dark Souls 1 and Dark Souls 2 here. I prefer the Dark Souls 1 story because it's not quite as you've described it. It's, if you want the whole story, you got to hunt it down. If you don't hunt it down, you've still got a story. It's a lot like Half-Life.
I notice you don't even mention Metal Gear. You don't like to have your story shoved down your throat, is what I'm hearing.
I'm fine with it in a book. I'm fine with it in an anime. But in something that purports to be an interactive medium, it's infuriating.
I mean, one thing you just had is just like Kojima's writing for an anime is what he's doing.
That's fine. It's not what he's doing.
So hold up now, Kyle. You.
I prefer the way that Ryan put it, that I liked, which is the story is there. It's really there if you go looking for it, but even if you don't go hunting, there's something.
Okay.
You still feel yourself.
I really have to go for the hat trick here and just go stand behind Ryan and say, like, when there's a storyline to follow, the game is still interesting in itself, and you're following this, storyline, but there's always nooks and crannies and Easter eggs and different things you can do to make it more of a complete and fulfillment in terms of maybe achievements or whatever it may be. That's just more perplexing, I think, because it appeals to everyone.
Let's make it 4 for all, and I personally say, and one of the great things that I loved about the Diablo franchise, and it's why I bought the box copy of Diablo 3, was I wanted to have all of the handbooks that went with them, because I love the lore that goes with that.
Yes.
That's fair enough.
But Diablo 3 does probably the worst job of not shoving it down your throat, which is to say they shove it down your throat with some frequency. I like the lore being there, and I like the opportunity to look for it, and I like it to be readily accessible if I want to look for it.
I can skip it.
But I also like to be able to skip it. And with Metal Gear, as much as I am enjoying Metal Gear, it gets to be a little much at times. And I remember when we started Metal Gear Solid, I was the first one to hold the controller, and it was like I was starting to get shaky, going, please let me play the game. Just let me play.
Because there's something in you that says, you're still talking, and God help me, I know there's a tutorial level when you're done.
Now, here's the thing, and I feel like you guys are going to enjoy this when we play 2. You'll very much enjoy this.
Okay.
Is that in 2, it's split up into 2 distinct segments. You have basically an intro stage and then the game.
Right.
And in both of those, they are set in a map that's not particularly big, but you're constantly exploring it.
That actually brings me to one quick point I want to make, because I'm very interested to hear your answer. I feel like Ground Zeroes dodges a lot of the Kojima problems we're talking about, because the game itself is so short. Are those cutscenes a little bit more manageable? Is that exposition a little in
Ground Zeroes
specifically.
I mean, there's not a whole lot there, but it does do the thing where it's like you'll get your basic story, but if you go around there and do all the side missions, you are going to find the whole
That's what I want. I just like to know Kojima can do it.
And I feel like Phantom Pain's going to do the same thing. But the thing is, it's just like you're playing a Metal Gear game, and it's just like that's a thing you have to accept. It's like this is going to be really fucking verbose.
Nano machine.
But the thing is, though, I feel like it's a little better in 2, simply because you're spending longer segments in between waiting a long time.
I'll allow for the man to learn from his mistakes.
So let's take a wrap up here.
Alrighty.
Next week, we're not entirely certain what's going to happen, but I'm certain there's going to be more Metal Gear. We'll play more Metal Gear.
We'll figure. We are going to finish it, and then I hope we can start to.
What's our next Stephen King novel? What's the next thing you're going to read?
We're reading it.
It?
I told you about this.
It's going to happen. We're going to watch the Salem's Lot movie. We might watch the Pet Sematary movie.
I don't know about that. I saw some clips.
We're recording a little early to call clearly what's going to be on the podcast
because we got a whole week to go before we can finally start doing stuff again.
Yeah, so it's going to be a while, but
yeah.
We're going to be playing a lot more PlayStation Battle All-Stars.
Oh my god, we didn't talk about
We'll talk about that next time.
Oh, but I have so much to say.
PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale. It's the worst game that was ever made.
No, but we'll talk about it next time.
No, but you weren't there.
I was not there.
You weren't there.
We'll give the final plug to Jon Cavanaugh.
Thank you for having me.
Give us your plug. What's the thing you want to plug on the show?
I think it'd be appropriate for me to plug our next show in New Britain. It's actually my first show in the northern end of the state within Connecticut with Moving Brooklyn. In New Britain, on South Street at the Hall. Farewell show to Burn Lexington, my other band from my youth, saying their goodbyes.
And that is
Your Wayward Days.
My Wayward Days. It's on Friday, September 26th. The show starts at 5:30. I pray to God we're not the first band playing. Hopefully I'll see
Get that
everyone
commuting
there.
home from work crowd.
Yeah, if I have to take the day off from work just to make it happen.
Obviously, the Moving Brooklyn EP Intervals is available on their Bandcamp, movingbrooklyn.bandcamp.com,
and that's
for $4 cash American.
And that's where we can look for any future updates from you guys. You're not going to go hiding it on YouTube or something.
No.
What are your other social media outlets?
Facebook.com/movingbrooklyn. We are on Instagram at Moving Brooklyn. We're at Twitter at Moving Brooklyn, and that's about it.
I'm totally gonna make you follow my Twitter, and I'll follow yours.
That's fine.
Too.
We do follow back.
Awesome.
Yeah, we do do it all.
Follow back, girl.
Yeah.
Let's end the show right there.
Boom.
No chance for redemption.
Yeah.
No chance.
Thank you, John, for sitting with us for
2
episodes. It was wonderful to have you. You were an immaculate guest.
I try.
Fuck all y'all haters. We'll see you next week. Woo. Good night.
Good night.
So you got